Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special edition of the JJ Sports Podcast. Joining me today, I am Josh,
And I'm Joey.
and we're not even going to bother with the stupid intro, okay? We're not even going to bother with the stupid, let's get into this, let's get into that, okay? Joey's wearing a Rangers hat today, and I can't find mine right now, which is a little annoying because I would have loved it. But let's just get the elephant. Let's address the elephant in the room. And in the great words of Gary Cohen, it's out of here. David Quinn, I don't even know what the hell they call him for a nickname. His ass is gone, and finally, the Rangers have addressed the real problem to this organization. Joey, you guys clearly could see how ecstatic I am. I lost my mind when I got the notification around like 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning, and it was absolutely ridiculous that I didn't know what to do with myself. I was running around my house screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God. There is a hockey god. Like, for now we know." And it's finally become a reality that the guy who's supposed to be an organized, whatever, I don't even know anymore. He's gone. Who cares? The guy who shuffled the lines and fucked the Rangers in playoff chances this season. No. Don't even. It's not a joke, okay?
No, it's funny. No, it's one of those things that is funny.
Not the person, the thing that was holding this team back by mixing up lines and only letting individuals play for their individual growth rather than team growth. Thank the Lord, he is gone. And finally, something that Dolan did seems to make sense in the long run. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Joey, but I mean,
Of course I do, man. I'm as ecstatic as you are. First of all, we were all clowning Dolan, and I'm just like, wait, something really good could come out of this, okay? And that's David Quinn getting the hell out of here. And guess what? I was right. I did say with a caveat, however, because we all know Drury's a BU guy, just like Quinn, and they're boys. They know each other for a long time. But guess what? This isn't a game of friends, bro. This is a business, okay? And Drury just got the keys to the castle. So he's not going to screw it up day one. He got his ass out of there, man. He got him out of there. And I just got to say, listen, I was excited when we hired him just because, it's a new coach. You have to give him a chance. You can't just write him off right away. But after 3 years, no, I'm sorry. I know we were in a rebuild, but this team at this point was built to at least make the playoffs. And we didn't because we had lines mix-ups and we didn't have enough grit. The grit you could blame on the front office, and the line mixing you can blame on Quinn. So as far as I could tell, we needed a change. But now we have the big old question. Who will be the next coach of the New York Rangers? Original six team, 100 years old, just like almost 100 years old since they started. So big franchise, New York, Big Apple. We are about to do our top 10 list. Josh, would you like to go first? We're going starting from 10.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing today. We are doing our top 10 list for which coaches we think would be best for the New York Rangers. Now, keep in mind that not all of these are exactly going to happen. These are not all play. Like, for all we know, they might still bring in a development coach. That just might not be David Quinn. Although, I feel stupid saying that now because if they really wanted a development coach, I mean, Quinn wasn't bad. He just whatever. They clearly feel like they're in a position where they can compete. And I know Jeff Gordon's not the GM anymore, but back when he was, right after the trade deadline, when he was asked why they didn't make any moves, he said the best idea is just to go from here. And if we can pick it up from here, we'll do that. And if not, it's to see what pieces we need to add over the next offseason to see how we can improve this team, improve this franchise, and see what they could do going forward and address it that way. And getting rid of David Quinn was the first thing that needed to happen if they really wanted to compete. And while it wasn't going to be Jeff Gordon who eventually got that role to kick Quinn from his position, I'm glad it was a guy like Chris Drury who put the friendship aside and realized what really needs to be done for this organization. Again, it sounds like I'm really hating on David Quinn. I hope he never gets hired again. No, that's not the case. It's similar to when the Mets fired Mickey Callaway. Obviously I feel for Mickey Callaway, but he had to go. Same thing here. And I'm honestly going to make them compare to each other because both of them go against analytics. Joey, we're not getting into the Mets things. All the fans know that. But let's just address the major elephant in the room. What was, if you had to pick the worst thing other than line changes, because that's not necessarily something that has analytics based
You all
on it.
know where I'm going
But
with this,
what
Josh.
is the worst
Josh,
thing
Josh,
Quinn did in his
Josh,
career?
we all know where I'm going with this. It's not playing fucking Georgiev against the Islanders. Why
Bingo.
the fuck would you not
Bingo.
play him?
Bingo.
Why
You
would
hit
you
the nail.
not play him?
You hit the nail right on the head. Thank you so much for addressing that. Yeah, for all those who don't know, the Rangers were still alive with about a week and a half, 2 weeks left in the playoffs. 6 games left, 2 against the Islanders, 2 against the Capitals, 2 against the Bruins. And they got smoked by the Islanders in both games. And why, you might ask? Well, who the hell started? It was Shesterkin. And don't get me wrong, I'm high on Igor. I love him. I think he's got an incredibly bright future coming in his career. What's the problem, though? The one team he statistically cannot beat, and it's not just he cannot beat, he usually gets lit up by and dominated by, is the Islanders. Who's the one goalie in the NHL that has a winning record as dominant? Oh, wait, sorry. It's only one goalie. It's Georgiev. And for some reason, this dumbass behind our bench decided to sit the veteran who has, at the time, because he's played against them
Like
since, I mean,
3
at the
years.
time, he had like a 9-2 record against the Islanders and 11 career starts. And I mean, like, playoffs are on the line. He's got more experience against a team that can't beat him. I don't know what the analytics told him, but the analytics clearly tell me, and I'm sure you, Joey, that there is not a chance Shesterkin gets his feet in the crease. There is no way.
There's no way. The record alone speaks for itself. Like, why? Why would you? Why?
And it would be one thing if it was 9-2 where he's averaging giving up 4 or 5 goals a game, but he doesn't give up more than 2 or 3 goals a game to the Islanders, a team that had trouble scoring at the time. I mean, obviously Palmieri and Zajac helped a little bit with that, but still absolutely ridiculous. Whatever. That's just the most obvious thing that, we have to address in the room for what really led to the Rangers' downfall, I think, this year, other than the line change. And it was those 2 games. If they win those 2 games, right now the Islanders are the 4th place team in that Metropolitan. Well, I mean, like, it's locked in. But they ended up finishing 4th. And if the Rangers would have swept them, I honestly believe that, first of all, they would have had momentum going into the Capitals series when they played 2 straight. And if they could have had momentum there and swept the Caps in 2 games there, you know damn well that they probably could have gone into Boston and stole 2 games from the Bruins there if the playoffs were really on the line. Say they needed 2 or 3 points to get in. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, he's gone, and let's get into this, Joey.
Yeah, wait, before we get into the coaching things, you mentioned Chris Drury doing, like, just a good move for the organization. This is actually the second move he's done. I got to mention the first one he did this week, and it's a big one. He extended for 3 years our D man, our great Ryan Lindgren. We didn't talk about it. I don't think we talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about this, but this happened after our show on
Right,
Monday.
exactly. That's why we didn't talk about it. It happened after. But this is big, man. This is big deal because he was an RFA. And he said, you know what? Let's not even get into UFA mode. Let's just give him a very good team building contract, okay? Because we don't want it, like, he's in such a good place right now. He's going to make $2 million, $3 million, $4 million in the next 3 years. That's very good. That's very good value for someone like Ryan Lindgren, a guy that puts his heart on his sleeve. He'll fight you. He'll mess you up, but he's not a dirty player at the least. No, sir. And he's playing with Fox, making them one of the best D-man combos in the NHL by far. So, yeah, I had to bring that up. But, yeah.
And I just want to point out
Drury's batting 1,000, man. 2-0 right now. That's how he's doing.
The last thing to add, I mean, this is also with the fact that Lindgren missed the last, 6 games of the regular season or 5.5 games in the regular season. This is trusting a guy who put his body on the line. And even though most would probably make the argument that if not for the goaltending blunder that Quinn had countered with against the Islanders, that not having Ryan Lindgren was a massive piece because the strides he's taken this season have been extraordinary. And he thrived under David Quinn as an individual, but guess what? It's not about the individual. He made that clear, the way he put his body on the line every night. Always gave himself up for the team. So anyway, I like the signing by the Rangers, or the extension by the Rangers at least. And yeah, Drury, please don't stop.
Drury, you're doing a good job so far, buddy. I trust you. I definitely have faith in you. I still think you might need a president just to help you take the load. But otherwise all you got to do is find a coach, man. Find a coach, get some grit. Good drafting, like good trade, whatever, man. Just do what you do, man. I trust you. All right, Josh, let's get this started. Who is your number 10 pick?
So I didn't do my picks in order of most obvious to least obvious, or
but
most.
Just start with the least. Just start with the least obvious.
Mine are like, in my personal preference, they're kind of all over the place. So I'm just gonna go on like a random in like whatever order.
Okay, fine, but just don't pick your most obvious now. Okay, that's all.
I mean, my most obvious, I think like all these are fairly good candidates. So it's not really a most obvious to me.
So just try doing least obvious ones and then most.
Okay, screw it. My first pick is Gallant. Okay, like
you fucking all right, whatever.
I told you, like they're all different in like their own ways. So anyway, I mean, like Gerard Gallant, I mean, we all know him obviously when he took over for the Vegas Golden Knights, became their first head coach, won the Jack Adams in his first year, in Vegas's first year of existence. They got to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost in 5 to the Washington Capitals, unfortunately. Followed up with another strong season. However, they fell in the playoffs, and about halfway through the season in the 2019-20 season, before the pause because of the pandemic, Gallant was released and Peter DeBoer was hired as the Golden Knights head coach. Now, a lot of people know Gallant for his history with the Golden Knights, and he had a very solid career there. However, a lot of people also forget that prior to being the Golden Knights head coach, he was the coach of the Florida Panthers, who weren't a joke, but not exactly a playoff team. They were right around the edge in his last year there. But the year right before, they were the best team in the Eastern Conference. They were ahead of Pittsburgh. Sorry, they were the second best team in the Eastern Conference because the Caps won the President's Trophy. But he won the Jack Adams also that year. It's crazy to think that, he's won this award twice within 3 years. So a lot of people have kind of forgotten about the fact of his previous coaching history before he was with the Golden Knights, where he still was a very solid head coach. I think he'd be a good fit for the Rangers. I mean, he's won the Jack Adams with multiple franchises and multiple first-year appearances. And I think that if the issue is it's bringing in a new coach to a bunch of different players, or different players to a new coach, whichever one you want to talk about it, he's clearly done that numerous times. I think he'd be a good fit.
Okay, now I don't know what
that experience also, like he's got experience going deep. So he knows how to get a team to the playoffs.
Okay, now I have to figure out how to do this because you screwed me up. Let me see.
Well, I mean, if you have the same one, then give your.
I'm saying if I have the same one, I should do the same one, even though it's.
Do the same one, like right at the same time. Like I'm not doing mine in any particular order.
If I have the same coach as you, I should just match. You're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. And if you want, we can do it.
You got my number one choice. Obviously, Gerard Gallant. I didn't want to do it this way, but whatever. Gerard Gallant. Here, just so people know who I'm talking about. This is the man, the myth, the legend, the Vegas man. He's a no-brainer. This would be the best choice, I think. There are obviously a lot of ways to go, but if people really believe we're in win now mode, and I think we have enough talent, we're just some grit away. But yeah, if we really believe that, this is the guy you want. You said it yourself, Jack Adams, Vegas, but not just that. Think about it this way. He didn't coach this year. He took a year off. Why do you think a coach takes a year off? I like to think it's because he could learn what he did wrong or learn to evolve with the game. Do you know who else has done that, Josh, in another sport? A man by the name of Thomas Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau took a year off after being fired from Minnesota because he realized, you know what, I've done a good job, but maybe I've made some mistakes. And what are those mistakes? Maybe I haven't evolved enough in the game. And people always say, hey, he always plays people too much, and he also just doesn't understand the new age of the game. But guess what? While he does still play stars a lot more, he still trusts a lot more of his bench. And and when those guys are injured, he's very willing to trust people like Frank. Frank played, I know we're not doing basketball. I'm just trying to give an example. So I think Gerard Gallant is the type of guy like Tibbs to know how to utilize or make the most out of people, even people that others would not think are as talented. He can make the most out of people. So that's why he's, for me, number one choice. I mean, he's great. Like this guy's probably like, if we don't get him, I think Seattle's getting him. That's how good I think he is, because they probably figured, hey, he took one expansion team to the Stanley Cup. Why not another? So like, yeah, Gerard Gallant, no brainer. All right, Josh, your next pick, whichever way.
Yeah. Again, no particular order, but we're sticking with the coaches who are a little more obvious, not necessarily for their caliber, but just for like, who we know for a fact could be on the market. Another guy is Claude Julien. We talked about him in an earlier show, Joey, similar to the way we talked about Gallant. Julien was released about 2/3 of the way through this season by the Montreal Canadiens. And the Canadiens, by the way, just clinched the playoffs, so props to them, but not under the coaching of Claude Julien to close out this season. And Julien's also similar to Gallant. I don't know how many Jack Adams awards he has, if any, but I do know that he, again, like Gallant, has a lot of experience taking teams deep into the postseason. He's a Stanley Cup winning coach with the Boston Bruins back in 2011, and he's been to numerous playoff runs with multiple teams. He was with the Bruins and with the Montreal Canadiens in 2016-17 when he took over halfway through that season after Michel Therrien was fired. So with that being said, he would be another good candidate, I think. There aren't any players on this Rangers team that he's coached in the past, and that's a downside, I think, because he has a little more experience for the amount of time he's been around the game as a head coach compared to Gallant. But I do think that if there's anyone who could come in, new scene, big city, Boston's a big media city there, Montreal's a huge hockey city there, I think that he would be able to come into New York. He could handle that pressure and take a team, both times, don't forget, teams that were just finishing off rebuilding, that were coming in. First when he did it with Boston back in the earlier parts of the 2010 to 2020 decade. And when Montreal had those runs, they had 2 straight runs to the conference finals. 2 straight runs to at least the second round. And then after that, threw in the towel for a year and basically said, no, like they took the rest of the year off. And, they hit on some draft picks. That's where they got guys like Arturi Lehkonen and guys like Nick Suzuki as well. And I mean, he took him to the playoffs. So I think he's a good candidate as well for the Rangers.
Yeah, just for reference, Gallant, obviously, he won the Jack Adams that year. He took the Knights to the Cup. It says right here, Claude Julien, 2008-2009 season, Boston Bruins. So he has won one. So the league has acknowledged he has been a coach of the year in the past. Actually, a lot of our choices here have been coach of the year. So that's a good thing. Okay. So I also have Claude Julien, that, for obvious reasons, dude's a Stanley Cup winner. He's had a lot of success with Boston. Some will argue he had some success with Montreal. This is what he looks like. But then again, they weren't having a great season this year, and he was their coach. How much of that was because of him versus just the way, the world is with COVID and everything? That remains to be seen. I mean, I don't really know the new guy, but whatever. It's just whatever. I still think he's great. He's been a great coach in the past. Maybe it's just like a change of scenery could do him some good. So, yeah, I got to agree. Claude Julien. Stanley Cup winner, Jack Adams. Yeah. Okay, Josh, your next choice.
I'll let you go with this one, Joey. I've taken 2 of your picks already, so you can take one. Well,
I don't know if you have this guy. So this is my number 9 guy, and he's number 10. I have number 10, and he's a long shot. But I figured I should at least mention him because he's one of the best. I really do believe he's one of the best coaches in the league, and the only reason he's at 10 is because he's a long shot. So his name is Mr. Rod Brind'Amour, coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. And everyone keeps saying over the months, he's going to get extended. He's going to be extended. He even said a few years ago, we're going to extend it. It just hasn't happened yet. So that's why I'm doing this, because it hasn't happened yet. He's one of the best coaches in the league by far. Hall of Famer, one of the best 2-way players ever. Dude's been electric on St. Louis, Hartford, won the Cup with Carolina. Dude's a beast, and he's a great coach. He's fiery. He's got he's awesome. I don't know how much you could, of him, but he's great. He's fantastic. There's nothing more to say. I think the only knock I would give him is that he's one of the only ones on my list that hasn't won a Jack Adams. But I just think it's just because it's Carolina. I just think Carolina is very under the – we could argue Carolina is one of the best teams in the league, some years, just because of how balanced the team is as a whole, especially when it comes to the defense. That defense is one of the best. So, Rod Brind'Amour. That's my a dark horse pick. What do you? I don't know if it's on your list, Josh, but if you have anything to say,
I do have Rod Brind'Amour on my list, and again, I didn't really do it in any order of.
But you have him. You have him on your list.
Most likely, the least likely, but I will say that I don't think Rod Brind'Amour, unfortunately, will be in the Rangers organization. He could be in the conversation because his contract is up after this season.
Right. Yeah, but he's probably getting extended
over. After Bill Peters was dismissed. With that being said, at the same time, though, I think he's proven himself in the 2 full years he's been coaching. He's taken a team to the conference finals, and back to the playoffs the next year and back-to-back years. So he made a really nice adjustment, really settling into the Carolina Hurricanes organization. I think he's the guy who's going to stick around with them, though, Joey. The only reason I have him on this
because
list,
they're good. Everyone else we picked, they've been fired or haven't coached in a while. So this is the only guy that's, he's still good.
He's right in the middle of things. Exactly.
Right, exactly. So that's why he's at the bottom for me. But yeah. Okay, Josh, do you want to go? Now you do your next one.
Yeah, I guess I'll do my next one. I'm going to say Rick Tocchet of the this past season was the head coach of the Arizona Coyotes. We spoke about him in our most recent show this past Monday. And look, we know the guy can coach, and he's also a guy who's a little bit younger toward the players. And I know that might not necessarily be a good thing, but he's not in that way that he's a development coach necessarily. He has the experience, and he's worked with some real fantastic players, helping them build themselves, such as Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He's helped Clayton Keller make himself into a nice scoring option. He's worked with Phil Kessel over the last season. Connor Garland, who's having breakout season after breakout season, slowly after year after year with the Arizona Coyotes. Now, in terms of what else he's done, he has the experience behind teams that were potential Stanley Cup teams with the Colorado Avalanche. I know they didn't win the cup under his coaching, but they had the same core around. You still had Joe Sakic. You still had Peter Forsberg, Raymond Bourque, Patrick Roy. It was still there. So he knows what it takes. And other than that, he's been, he has other experience. With the Lightning back in 2008, when they first got Steven Stamkos, that's when they started to really put themselves together into a team that was going to consistently start making the playoffs. And other than that, what's it called? He's also been known with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I saw before you pulled that up. That was in 2014. They were a juggernaut during the regular season. He knows what it takes. The question is, I don't know if I don't know if he'd be the best fit, because it seems like most of the time he comes onto a team that has had a lot of experience. And while I definitely think he'd be a good coach to help build this Rangers team and help them get experience, some of their players still, I don't think, are 100% going to be right on board with his coaching style. But look, if there's any other guy, obviously I have 6 other guys on this list, but if there's anyone who's right in the middle of an opening right now, Tocchet's that guy.
Yeah, so this is the fourth choice for both of us again. Yeah, I also have Tocchet. No brainer. Dude has literally been engrossed in Stanley Cup winning teams. Whether or not he's been the coach is obviously the only thing. But he's Colorado, that Hall of Famers on that team. You said it before. Tampa Bay, they're starting to be great. And he was on 2 winners in Pittsburgh. So, it's not his fault that he got a good job in Arizona, because it's Arizona, but still, he's the only reason I feel like they were as good as they are, because they've been through a lot of crap. They just have, it just sucks. So yeah, but I think he did a good job there. A lot of good players: Clayton Keller, Connor Garland, Ekman-Larsson, Jacob Chychrun, Phil Kessel. I think a lot of those players resemble players on our team. So, I think just the level of skill, he'd be very familiar with coaching people with that level. So that's what I think. But yeah, that's Tocchet. Okay, that's 4 for both of us. I guess I'll go first this time. Number 9 for me, a little out of the box, but same thing as Gallant, same reasoning, I guess, but a little not as high on him as Gallant, is Mike Babcock. Mike Babcock, obviously he was a Stanley Cup winner with the Wings. I'm not sure if other ones, I'm going to check, but I know he was a Stanley Cup winner with the Wings. Did he win with the Ducks 2007? I'm trying to see.
I do not remember.
That's okay. Whatever. I'll look for it, but whatever. Anyway, but yeah, he won. No, but he did take him to the Cup in 2003 when they had John Sebastian Zaguer. So he's taken teams to the Cup, and he's won to the Cup when he took the Wings in 2008 and 2009. So, and he has been a finalist for the Adams Award. I don't think he's won. No, he has never won, but he has been a finalist. So he's definitely always been in the conversation. I guess I'd give him the same benefit of the doubt as I would Gallant. He has obviously not been in favor of a lot of people recently, with the whole Toronto mess. But he might just pull a Tibbs or I guess Gallant, right? Take a year off, see what he did wrong, and hope for a new job. I don't know. He definitely has the winning experience, so that would help. But yeah, he's a little bit. He's number 9 ranked for me. So I don't know if he's on your list, but yeah, number 9 ranked for me.
Yeah, I mean, he is on my list actually, Joey. And
Oh, okay.
I don't, it's not like we haven't seen similar to another coach I have on my list. I won't specify it, but
Right.
give it away. We have seen it in other sports in the past where you go from coaching or managing or whatever to being an analyst, taking some time off. Maybe you want to get back into it. I'll give you an example. Joe Girardi, formerly managing the New York Yankees, he went into baseball media instead after he wanted to kind of just, amp cleats for a little bit, and instead decided, just a year or two ago that he wanted to come back into managing when the Phillies hired him.
Yeah. John Gruden also did the same thing.
John Gruden, that's also correct. And you're starting to see that a little bit in sports come out. So I think it'd be interesting to get Babcock back. He definitely does have the winning experience. My question is, because I don't know the history on him as much, is how much experience does he have working with guys as young as they've been, like this Rangers team? I know they all just got another year of experience under their belt, but you're still going to have guys who are potentially coming up in Nils Lundkvist. Barron's probably going to see a full season ahead. Zach Jones is probably going to see a full season ahead. Lafreniere is going to get another full season. And I mean, really, when I say full season, Lafreniere is the only one who played every game among the guys I just mentioned. But with that being said, a full season here was 56 games. He hasn't played the full 82-game season yet. And I'm not saying he has to play in all 82, but if he could play in 75 to 80 games, because obviously you're going to have you might have a day off here and there, might need rest in a case where your team, if they clinch the playoffs, where you're going to want to rest certain players. And I'm not saying it'll come to that, but I'm saying, does he have the experience working with all the guys as young as the Rangers are? Because they're still the youngest team in the NHL right now, numerically. The average age on this team is still like 24, 25.
I actually think it switched to the Devils once they traded Palmieri, but they are one of the youngest. That is true, for sure. The average age is like 22, 21, something like that. It's like crazy young. Okay, so you want so we've done 5 already. Okay, so I guess I'll go now again. And I think this is who you were talking about, this other coach, Bruce Boudreau.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I just skipped him. I'm not going in order anymore. He's number 6 ranked for me. Same exact reasons here as Gallant and everything. He's had success with the Wild. Obviously, it went down. We also saw your name trees video years ago, but
don't forget about with the Ducks and with the Capitals also.
Yeah, but he's like another coach. We also didn't mention that has like a short-term effect. When he's short-term, he's great. So I would argue, just long-term, it's hard. It's hard for him. But yeah, it's hard because I think he did a good job with the Wild, at least in the beginning. They made playoffs a few of those years. Obviously they haven't won, but still it's tough, It's tough. He's still taking Minnesota to playoffs, and we've always seen Minnesota as the most mediocre team in the NHL for years. So the fact that he gets them to the playoffs, at least said they're at least higher echelon and middle instead of lower echelon, I give him credit for that, I guess. But yeah, I think he's a good coach still, and he has won a Jack Adams when he coached the Capitals over 10 years ago. So he has won it. He definitely, people respect this guy. People have seen him as the best in the league. So, think about that. Definitely a good pick in my opinion. I wouldn't hate it. But he is 6, so he's lower on my list. But yeah, I imagine you have him as well. Yeah. So anything to add, Josh?
No, nothing to add. It's pretty much he's in the same situation as Babcock, except you include the fact that he's a little bit better come short term.
Right. Short term, he's like a fire, he's just booming.
Exactly.
But eventually the fire, it goes out. So yeah, like another coach on this list, but to a greater effect. Okay. Let's see. And my bottom half, the only one who I haven't talked about yet, and he's on my bottom half for an obvious reason, but it's Torts. John Tortorella. Obviously, he just got fired from the Blue Jackets, so he's definitely in need of a job. And just like Boudreaux, short term, holy crap. Long term, it gets a little carried away. I guess it might be this old way of thinking that the league just evolved, and maybe they haven't evolved with it. I think it's debatable for someone like Torts because he still gets jobs, right? So, and by the way, let's be very honest here. Outside of Rick Nash, outside of them drafting Rick Nash, there has not been a high note in this team since they drafted Tortorella. Not drafted, since they signed him, until they signed him. Because they've only won like one playoff series, I think. Maybe not even. Maybe they won a playoff game when they had Rick Nash. John Tortorella took him to the playoffs. He took him multiple years in a row, and they even won a playoff series. They probably won one of the best playoff series we ever saw. Okay, one of my favorite urinate tree videos ever is him just laughing about them sweeping the Lightning. It's just like legendary stuff. And yeah, we all know, okay, let's not get carried away. We all know they drafted the farm for Panarin, Duchesne, Dzingel, Bobrovsky, Adam McQuaid. We all know they got all those guys, but still, like, they had other players in the system. At least they used to. Pierre-Luc Dubois, big part of that team. Cam Atkinson. Before he was traded, Nick Foligno. They had one of the best up-and-coming D pairings in Zach Werenski and Seth Jones. So, he had a lot of talent, man, and he made the most of it. Obviously he believes in a two-way game. It's very hard. Obviously, we all know all the crap with Laine, how, like, if you don't have a two-way game, you're kind of out. And the only reason I wouldn't put him as high as other ones is because he's already coached here before. It's very rare to see someone coach in a team and then come back. It's very rare. And almost any team, like, I don't know how many teams have rehired like a coach, coming out of like the same, like, you know what I mean? It's very rare. So I don't know, I'm trying to think, like, in any sport, it's very rare. The only thing I could think of is like the Yankees with Billy Martin, but that was just like a weird thing where it happened like 5 times. So I don't really know if that counts. And also he didn't go to other teams, I think, or maybe he did. I don't know, whatever. It's like very rare. I don't know if you could think of any, Josh, but I guess John Gruden. Yeah, there you go. John Gruden is the perfect example, right? So if you want to pull a John Gruden, go for it. But I don't know, man. I feel like we fired him for the same reason that Columbus and Vancouver and everyone else fired him. They got tired of him after a while. So, yeah, he's a little bit lower on my list. Josh, I'm sure he's on your list too. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, he's on my list. The only reason I put him is just because he actually has the streak. It's kind of the exact opposite with what you did. I'm not so high on him becoming the coach. Not that I wouldn't like it, because if there's anything he could do, it is teach defense. If there's one man who knows how to teach defense other than Barry Trotz.
Yeah, but he's not the only coach that could do that. I mean, think about Kako this year. I'm not sure if it's because of Quinn or someone else, but his
defense. Well, I mean, look, they have Jacques Martin as their defensive coach. That is
actually they fired him, I'm pretty sure, with Quinn.
Really?
Yes, I'm pretty
sure. You got to double check that because he was fantastic for them. No, not David Quinn. Look up.
No, but it was assistants. Yeah, 3 assistants: Jacques Martin, David Oliver, Greg Brown. But you know who they did keep? Benoit Allaire. So I'm happy about that. Definitely happy about that.
Whoa. Okay. I'm okay with David Oliver and Greg Brown being gone. But Jacques Martin, like, the team was so much better defensively this past year than they were last year.
Yeah, but I'll give you 2 points, Josh. Number one, if they're probably going new coach, he's probably going to want his own staff. So, you know what I mean? This is probably telling me they're getting a very experienced coach who wants his own staff. I'm guessing. That's just and second of all, then again, Jacques Martin is the guy that advocated us to sign Jack Johnson, and that enough is like, that's not great. That's not a great like, he wanted us to sign, and we all know that's you know what I mean? Like, just whatever. I'm not getting into it, but like, he wanted us to sign Jack Martin.
Not wrong about that. Fine, I can understand. Anyway, I mean, like, if there's anyone who could teach defense, then I mean, it's John Tortorella. If it's not Barry Trotz, and I teach it as well as he does to keep your players still being able
to. And the media would love it, especially Larry Brooks. It'd be funny stuff.
Yeah, well, that's actually the one problem I have with him, though, because I'm not the media. The other thing I have a problem with is, though, if you actually play a little bit subpar, even if you
He
have a
was gonna
talented
roast
player,
him. Yeah.
look, yeah, like you're screwed. You're not gonna play, and he doesn't stand by that. And I respect that, like for his, like for his mentality and everything. It's the right thing to motivate your players and want to get better. And to be fair, he has worked with a couple of these players in the past. He's coached Kreider before.
Coach
He's
Panarin.
coached Panarin in the past, and he's also coached. There was another guy from this team, like way. Oh man, um,
I don't think there's anyone else. There's no way.
no, it's really pissing me off. So
There's
no,
no way.
been in and out of their system like occasionally. I don't remember. Whatever. The bottom line being the fact that he does have experience with some of these players, and so I definitely think it wouldn't be the worst thing to bring him back. But the thing that's really is like, is he gonna take it seriously as if this team is a guaranteed playoff team on paper? That he's willing, and I think most of the Rangers forwards have gotten better, like defensively. Like Kakko took a big step forward defensively. Mika Zibanejad's an excellent defensive forward. Panarin's a good defensive forward. Buchnevich, who's going to be a free agent this coming off season, but I think they'll probably want to keep him around. If they do, is a good defensive forward as well. Ryan Strome is a good defensive forward. Colin Blackwell is a good defensive forward, and you're gonna obviously see that come with Kravtsov.
Right.
Barron.
He's gonna right. And with the young guys, you all know he knows how to deal with young guys. Yeah, obviously he was pissed off, but before that, they had a good relationship. Pierre-Luc Dubois, obviously Seth Jones, Zorinsky, they're young guys. He knows how to deal with young guys. And people saying that having a young team prevents you from making the playoffs. Look at Toronto. Look at them. Look at them. 3 of their best players are like 20, 21, man. We all know Matthews is a freak. He's an outlier. But Nylander, Marner, Hyman, come on, man. If we can make those guys make the playoffs, why can't our guys make the play? I don't get it. It's not impossible. I'm not saying we're world beaters, but we can make the playoffs. And next year is probably gonna be the normal thing where it's not 4-4. It's gonna be 5-3 because we're probably gonna have the toughest division again. Like we can make the playoffs. We could. And Torts would definitely be a guy that could help. I don't think he's not as high on my list, but he definitely is on there, no doubt. Okay, Josh, you want to roll with the next one? We've done.
Yeah, I'll roll with the next one.
We've done 6.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for the 4 that I have left, at least, I think this one is probably the most obvious one. I have 3 left. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah. Okay, we did 3. Okay, we have 3 left. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So of the 3 that I have left, this is probably the most obvious one, and I mean, it's Chris Knoblauch. I mean, like, how else do you want me to put it? Came up partially this season to coach the Rangers when the entire coaching staff was in COVID-19 protocol, and they thrived under him. And it's not even just the fact that, he'd be a guy to bring up because he has NHL experience coaching the Flyers, but he's coached most of these guys when they were in Hartford. He coached Kravtsov, he coached Zach Jones, he coached Morgan Barron, he coached Shesterkin. Like, he's clearly got the experience. And if not just with these players, he has experience coaching against this division because he used to be the Flyers coach. So I think it's pretty fair to say that he should be given a role, especially after what he did. I know it was a small sample size for the regular season with the Rangers in the NHL rather than in Hartford, the AHL. But let's be honest, this guy was great. He's not overly aggressive as a guy, say, like Tortorella, and he doesn't shuffle the lines. He's not as soft as a guy like David Quinn where he shuffles lines every 5 seconds. He knows how to get his shit together. He knows how to get a team together. And both of these seasons with the Philadelphia Flyers, I mean, they weren't jokes. They made the playoffs. I think it's
yeah, and in the first game where he was coaching this year, that was the beatdown. 9-0.
That was 9-0. Zibanejad broke out of that crazy slump. He scored the natural hat trick.
6 points in one period, I think it was. You made the
6 points in a game. Oh wait, no, you're right. I think you're right.
No, he did that twice, but that was the one in one period. That was crazy.
One period, yeah.
Yeah, they went 4-2 under him, and that's a very small sample size. But still, he's on my list. Obviously, dude is probably the only guy that I would take in the organization to move up. That's it. Everyone else is from outside. He's the only one, and I'm okay with it because the dude knows our organization. He knows how we work. He's even coached a few games, so he knows most of the players he's going to be dealing with next season if he's the guy. He's the only guy in our organization I'd be okay with. He's the only rookie, I guess, if you want to call it. The only guy because he's had that kind of experience. He's never been a full head coach, but, all these coaches at one point were never full head coaches until someone gave him a chance. So,
and if you look underneath, by the way, at the players he's coached with the Erie Otters, I mean, like McDavid, DeBrincat, Burakovsky, Connor Brown, Eric Chernak, Sorelli, Travis Dermott, Sam Reinhart, Dylan Strome. Those are like some of those players are like, I mean, McDavid's the best player in the world.
No, but even if you take out McDavid, these are very good players.
Some of these players you could put like top 10 in their position, debatably.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got DeBrincat, you got Sorelli, who's a huge, you got some really good players here. No, he knows how to coach. He's a much more capable coach, I think, than Quinn would be, at least in terms of wanting to win more. Like he definitely he would make line changes, but very little ones. Kaku for Blackwell. It'd be as simple as that. It wouldn't be like a crazy thing. So yeah, that's him, right? Okay, so I have two more, and I feel like I don't know if we have the same two. I know we definitely have one of them. So I'm just gonna say the one I think we have the same of. It's Patrick Waugh. Patrick Waugh.
That's not. I don't have Waugh on my list. I'll tell you.
You don't have Waugh? Interesting. Okay. Well, let me tell you why I should pick Patrick Waugh. And no, it's not because the dude is probably the greatest goaltender of all time. If you really think about it, I think he is. But you could go Brodeur, you go Hasek. I think he's the best. Not just, but like, and I'm not just gonna be like. First of all, let's just a little bit talk about just the goaltending stuff. Just because he's a proven winner as a player. As a player, he's a proven winner. You know that. He's a proven winner. He's one of the best. Has one of the best chirps ever. Jeremy Roenick. Oh, we would have scored him. Oh, I can't hear him. I can't. My 2 Stanley Cups in my ear. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But like that's not even part of it. That's not even part of it. And thus, I know he hasn't coached in a long time, and I'm not going to give him the same BS I'm giving to Boudreau and everyone else. But I will point out this: when he was with the Avalanche, he had some very good years with the Avalanche. Very good years. McDavid's first year. Not McDavid. Sorry. Nathan McKinnon. First overall pick. One of the best seasons by a first overall pick by far. He's one of the best. And as a team together, and this was before all the Duchesne crap went, this is when Duchesne was
went from worst to first in the league.
Yeah, they seriously, they pulled a 180, and Patrick Roy won the Jack Adams. So just think about that. So the dude knows, he does know how to win at least a little bit. You can't say no to that. Things obviously they went bottom tier a few years ago, but they brought back up again. I'm not saying all of it's on Waugh, but if you're taking the failure, you're also giving him the success. You have to. It's a joke otherwise. But yeah, Patrick Waugh, no brainer to me. Actually not a no brainer. I put him like 4 or 5, but yeah, like he's not the top of the top, but I think he's up there. Okay. So, right. So, Josh, can you give me the initials, just the initials of the 2 coaches you have left?
Yeah. So, one of them is GB. The other is BP.
BP. Okay. So, two different people. Okay, fine. So, just before you say one of your 2, you want to just have anything to say about Waugh?
Yeah, I think he'd be a good coach. But again, like he hasn't coached in a while. So I don't know. I feel like it might take a little bit of time for him to get back into the swing of things. I'm not saying he's inexperienced by any means, but I am saying I feel like it might work a little bit better. I know like Gallant theoretically, and even like Julian to some extent, Babcock obviously all have not coached for a little bit of time right now, but it's 1 year at most compared to like 3
no, that's why he's not at the top. He's like in the middle for me, just because of like he has had success recently, but not a lot. But he, just like all these other guys, Tortorella, Gallant, he's won Jack Adams. Like that's a big deal to me. If you won the Jack Adams,
that is a big deal.
That's a big deal, man. That's like winning like hearts. Like that's a big deal.
He had his chance working with talent. McKinnon in his rookie year, O'Reilly, Landeskog,
Duchesne
in his prime, Eric Johnson in his prime,
Matt Duchesne before all the crap,
everything crazy happened. Yeah. And I guess like also in that Semyon Varlamov, but Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Tyson Berry also like.
Tyson Berry also. That's also very like I keep forgetting he was on that team with like the blue line they have. So yeah, it's true. But my question is, big city New York. Obviously, he has the career behind him that he would probably make a good fit. But I just don't know if it's the right move for the Rangers to bring him in.
Yeah, again, he's not at the highest for me, so that's why. Yeah, but yeah, like
I
yeah.
won't be upset if they bring him in. I just I don't. I wouldn't see him as compared to the two guys I have on my
Okay,
list.
so who else do you have?
You want to finish yours first, or you want me to keep going?
We'll
It's
just
up.
do back to back. You
All
have
right,
you
so
do
back to
both.
back.
You do
So
both for
this,
yours. You do both for yours, and I'll do my last. Okay.
yeah. So this is the first guy on this list. Actually beat the Rangers most recently in the playoffs, and that was not including the play-in last year. But it's Guy Boucher, the former coach of the Ottawa Senators. He's worked with numerous players over his career. He's been through the low times. He's been through the high times, and he's taken the lowest teams out from the bottom. So he's not currently the head coach of a team, but I mean, he's been with the Lightning, he's been with the Senators, and let's be realistic. I mean, like also the Blue Jackets, but that was that was a lot longer ago. Anyway, with that being said, he's the one who brought the 1-3-1 to Tampa. That famous defense that I mean, like we know what happened against the Philadelphia Flyers. They mocked because they had nothing else to do. And it's worked so well for Tampa. They've kept that system over the years. With that also being said, the Ottawa Senators, which is the most recent team he's worked with, were coming off a rebuild that unfortunately only lasted them 1 year in the playoffs. Now, that 1 year they went far. They almost got to the Cup Finals, and they were one goal away from beating the Penguins and moving on. That was when they had Hoffman and Stone and Turris, and Anderson was a beast in net. And you had Erik Karlsson in his prime before he was
Yeah,
completely
that bitch
before he
JJ
was
Pageau.
injured. Pajot when he was even younger. I mean, like he's developed like crazy.
They had Brassard, who was still good then.
Derek Brassard, who was good in the playoffs for the Senators that season. So he's worked with his talent, and he's also worked with a team going through the rebuild, because after that year it was similar to the Rangers, where they were supposed to be a pretty solid team, and through the first month and a half or so they just never put anything together, and they decided to just blow it up. They traded away Mark Stone. Not they traded away Mark Stone, actually. They kind of just let Mark Stone go. They shipped off Hoffman. They traded Karlsson after that season, and a lot of things happened. They lost Mark Mathot in the expansion draft because they wanted to keep him around, but his cap situation just wasn't great. Dion Phaneuf was out. Just a lot of things went wrong. But you also look at some of the players he's gotten the opportunity to work with, some of the young talent that Ottawa Senators team has right now that's either in their prospect pool that hasn't played a ton. I wouldn't say prospect pool, but that are kind of trying to build up that new foundation there in Ottawa. Guys like Thomas Chabot, guys like Brady Tkachuk, guys like Colin White, even like Bobby Ryan. I know he's not there anymore, but like still a player who has a lot of experience, a former Stanley Cup winner and a veteran. He's coached a lot of good players and guys with a lot of potential in his career. I think he'd be a good fit for the Rangers. I just don't think he would be super, super interested. But I do think underratedly that he will be a guy the Rangers do decide to look after.
Okay, and who's your last guy? I mean, because I gotta say he did have some luck. I just didn't pick him just because he hasn't won a Jack Adams. I'm not saying that's the only thing, but like I just think he hasn't won a cup either. He did take him to the Eastern Conference Final, but then they blew up.
Well, I don't feel that was as much on him as it
I,
was.
I'm not saying it was, but it definitely some of it has to go to him. I mean, like.
Some of it has to go to him, but I mean, if you look like to be fair,
Listen, you blame
they don't
Quinn
have.
for a lot of the problems. It might not all be Quinn's fault, but it is partly his fault.
Well, look, to be fair, I mean, we know, you and I both know very well, Joey, that Ottawa's front office is not helpful. I mean, I think we can both agree that when you get
They're
a
probably the
signing
cheapest.
Kenny Dadonov for 15 million over 3 years, that's not much. That's like the highest thing they were willing to do. They could
They're
have.
not paying anyone, man. Look what I want to wait.
How is he? I understand, like, your coach is the coach and he has his roles, but I mean, like, if they don't give him any talent to work with, then like, what are they supposed to do? Everyone wanted big contracts. They weren't going to pay it. They didn't want to pay anyone. That's why they just shipped everyone off. So, because when they were there, he was coaching well, and then it came and they started taking out. It was whatever. The bottom line is, I wouldn't mind him if he was the Rangers coach, but again, I also don't think he'll be a top candidate. You want me to finish mine off, or do you want to go? It's up to you.
Yeah, finish it off. But just before you do, I just want to say, like, it's just like it's gonna be really funny when they have to extend Chalmers Shabbat and like they won't have money, or Kachuk. It's just gonna be like really funny. Like, what are they gonna do?
Eventually,
they're screwed. They're screwed, by the way. But whatever. Yeah, go ahead. Who's your last pick?
So my last pick is someone who was coached a bit more recently as opposed to Guy Boucher, or honestly, maybe they were out right around the same time. The only difference is this guy still has an occupation right now, but it's not completely set in stone. And that's Bill Peters, former coach of the Carolina Hurricanes and of the Calgary Flames. Now, Bill Peters never really had a ton of terrific seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes. However, let it be known that when he switched to Calgary, the mentality there changed, and he whipped them into shape. And they
got Gaudreau. That's when he was a rookie, right?
And I mean, he took the Flames to their first division title. I mean, like in 13 years. Sorry, I mean, like I knew that was there. They had 50 wins. They had the second most points in the NHL. And they were only behind. What's it called? They were only behind the Nashville Predators that season. Not the Nashville Predators. Sorry, they were only behind the Tampa Bay Lightning that year. It was 2018-19. And I mean, they were a very strong team. And I think it's shown, like, a change of scenery every year and there. I never thought he was a bad coach. I know a lot of people are going to say, then why was Carolina such a miserable team from like 2011 to 17, 18? And the answer to that simply is they had zero talent. I mean, like Eric Stahl was slowly running through his prime. They traded him to the Rangers. Jordan Stahl, a little bit older, he was kind of out of it. I mean, like he's definitely
Justin Falk
his career, but I mean, like after that, Justin Williams left the organization for a while, and I mean, he came back, but not under Bill Peters. This is when Rod Brindamore took over.
Right.
And I mean, Justin Falk, they traded him away, and he wasn't playing as well after. And they also, I mean, like the goaltending situation was just not really that good. Cam Ward completely fell off. It really only got revived when they brought in Peter Mrazek, who was an experienced goaltender when it comes to playing in the playoffs. And sometimes it's going to take them. They got their young talent after because they drafted guys like Sebastian Aho. They traded for Teuvo Teravainen. They traded for guys in the past like Vincent Trocheck. They drafted Martin Necas. And you've got. I know they
Hamilton. They drafted Slavin.
They drafted Jacob Slavin. Hamilton. Andrei Svechnikov was drafted. I know. So there's a lot that went right for the Hurricanes, I guess, because of the fact that they were so bad. But with that being said, that wasn't Peters' fault. I mean, he had no control over the fact that, again, this was a team that was practically talentless. And I know that, you don't always need talent to be a top contender. I think the Golden Knights proved that in their first year of existence. They didn't have a ton of talent. They had guys who were good, like, depth player options like David Perron, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson. The only guy who was really proven there as a superstar was Marc-Andre Fleury. And he kind of fell off a little bit in 2016-17 because he was injured. He was very inconsistent. And he revived his career magnificently with the Golden Knights. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, just in terms of example, like the Hurricanes weren't exactly the same story. And I don't think it would, like, I know what you're going to say, Joey, the coach is the coach, and I'm standing by that. But if you look at what Peters was able to do once he got to a team that had some form of talent, and I mean, like Gaudreau was still kind of breaking out a little bit because he's been a little inconsistent since his rookie year. But I mean, he had a breakout season. He scored 99 points. Matthew Tkachuk broke out in his second season, and that was under Bill Peters' second full season, I should say, not his first, but second full season, was a top scorer. Michael Backlund got scoring back on streak. Sam Bennett came alive a little bit more consistently during the regular season, and the biggest one of them all, Sean Monahan finally broke out and became that number one center the Calgary Flames so desperately needed in order to get the play going under them. They also got some nice depth options in one of his former players from Carolina, Elias Lindholm, who revived his career as a 30-plus goal scorer on the regular season.
He was a part of the Hanifin-Hamilton trade. So
yeah. So, I mean, I think it's clear that Bill Peters is a good coach. I
think he's a good coach too, but we're forgetting one thing. He was accused of racism on Twitter and all this stuff. And I'm not saying it's true or it's not true, but with all the crap he went through this year with D'Angelo and all that stuff, I don't think the Rangers want to risk it. I'm not saying they're trying to play it safe, but there's a lot of other options that have a lot less baggage, that's why I would just say that's why I didn't have him on my list, just because of all the controversy in his past. So, I think like people will, you know what I mean? Like Twitter just ruins people, just brings stuff back up. Like people are just the media is going to spin this so bad if we hire someone like this. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to play hockey. So
I hear, yeah.
So that's why he's not on my list. My last guy, he's not even coaching in the NHL, but he is still coaching in, I forgot what it's called.
Oh, I should probably mention, by the way, Bill Peters is currently coaching in the KHL. So that's why.
Right. So my guy also, I think his name is Bob Hartley. He used to be, where is he? Yeah, it is the KHL. Avant Omsk. That's a good team. He coached the Avalanche when they won the Stanley Cup in 2001. We all know about Atlanta, but I think that place was just doomed to fail anyway because they already had a team in Atlanta years ago and they moved them to. Just Atlanta's not a place to have an expansion team, in just my opinion. And then he goes to Calgary, and he won the Jack Adams when he was there his first year, right?
Yeah.
He did. I know they didn't go to the playoffs a lot, but he did make the playoffs. I mean, I think he's a no-brainer personally. I think he's not the top of the top. I have him like 3, but like if you look at this list, right? All the guys we picked, most of them have won Jack Adams, John Tortorella, Boudreau, Julian, Roy, Hartley, Tortorella again, and Gallant. Like I want proven winners. The only person I didn't pick was Brenda Moore because he's been successful recently. I think he will win one, but and Knoblauch because he hasn't really had the chance. So yeah, I mean like whoever they pick, I'll be happy. But I really want it to be Gallant. But I'll be happy with anyone. I'll be happy with any one of these guys that we picked. Tocchet, Boudreau. I'll be happy. But that's all I have to say. I don't know if you have anything to say about Bob Hartley, but yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that pretty much does it. I mean, that was the goal for today, to get our top 10 picks in.
Yeah, I mean, we were just gonna take as much time as we wanted. I mean, they're probably not gonna make a decision for at least a month. I think. I don't know. Maybe they'll get it out of the way because some of these guys, they just got fired. I don't know,
right.
Like I don't think anyone's gonna get hired yet. It just
any of these guys has potential. I think that either of us have mentioned. But it's going to take time. It always takes time.
What would you say if we hire one of these guys and then we bring up Knoblauch as an assistant? Or do you think you wouldn't like that because he wouldn't be the head?
No, I think he would actually be okay with it because
I think he'd like it because he's playing for a professional team instead of AHL, and now the pressure's on that guy to do well.
Comfortable. I think he'd be comfortable because it's a position he's done before. I don't think it's a matter of one.
And if the other guy we get doesn't do a good job, which I think is unlikely, depending on
Knoblauch would be a good guy to take over.
Exactly. He'd be
honestly, that's exactly what happened with the Bruins in 2016-17. Claude Julien was not doing a satisfying job for Boston, so they let him go. Bruce Cassidy was the assistant coach, stepped in. He's really matured as a top coach. He's a crybaby at times, but other than that, I mean, I think it's pretty clear to say he's one of the better coaches in the NHL.
You look at what I'm looking at. Last Jack Adams winner was Bruce Cassidy. So yeah, that's true. He took the team to the Cup the year before that. So yeah, he's a good coach, no doubt. I mean, I actually like that. Have a power thing of like Gallant and Knoblauch. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, it's 4:20, so that means I got to get out and do stuff. What that is, I'll let you imagine. But anyway, signing off here. This is JD Sports Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this edition. If you really stayed this whole time, you're a true trooper. Let's go Rangers. Just signing off. I'm Josh. I'm Joey.
Wow. Okay, I'm not even gonna bother signing. He signed off for me.
I'm sorry. My bad. You want to try it again or just that's it?
No, that's it.
Okay, that's it. See
But
you guys. Have a good week. I'm sorry about that.